Okay, 6 o'clock, we call the meeting to order. Lisa?
As required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice this meeting was provided on January 9, 2025 by publication and notice in the Express Times and the Hunter County Democrat and by posting of said notice in this building on the same date. Mayor Barsney?
Here.
Mr. Baylor?
Here.
Mr. Beam?
Here.
Mr. Kenny?
Here.
Ms. McDermott? Here.
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first we're starting off with a presentation from Ashley Development. John, do you want to do a prelude here or something, or?
Nope, I imagine that their attorney, Steve Gruenberg, is there.
Yes, he is. He's right here.
And as the Township Committee is well aware, the Township has a policy. People occasionally want to come in, talk about developments, talk about rezoning, and all the professionals have been advised. No one has any meetings. You tell them to submit a request to the Township Committee. The Township Committee will then decide what it wants to do, which is a number of things. Either no, we're not interested. Talk to the professionals first, go to the land use board first, or yes, we're interested. So in this particular case, which doesn't very often happen, the Township Committee said, yeah, come present to us. So here they are to present to you a rezoning request. And I now know as much as you know about it after the email came in with the revised PDF, and the applicant should just take it from here.
Great, thank you, Mr. Drill. Steve Gruenberg, I'm attorney in Flemington, New Jersey, and I represent Greystone Development or Ashley Development in connection with this proposal for a zone change for the property that's known as Block 36, Lots 1, 1.01, and 1.02. My client's the purchaser under contract of that property from William and Georgine Voorhees, and we'll just call it the Voorhees property from now on. We presented to you and a little brochure and a request for this meeting, and we really appreciate the opportunity to come to you because the proposal here makes sense for this particular piece of property. And what I'd like to do, ultimately, what we're going to be requesting is either to rezone the Voorhees property from the RO district to the OPLR district, or to allow data processing facilities to be a permitted use in the RO district. I have two witnesses. We don't have to swear them in, but there's people here who want to say something to you about this project. First is Lou Pector from Greystone Capital to tell them who he is and who the project developer is. And then Michael Pembroke to tell you a little bit about what a data center is. We'll try and keep it short.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Pector, if you please come forward, introduce yourself and let them know what Greystone is and why we're here.
One, I want to thank you for your time. I know we were here a couple of years ago to look at prospective uses for this property. And we've been wrestling with this for quite a while. We got entrenched in the data center development business on the other side of the river on the Pennsylvania side through a relationship with a major AI data center purveyor that we're going through power studies and learning more about power than I ever thought we would. As a result of that, in doing all the analysis of what lines connect where and who has what power, we came to learn that the west side of this subject property is in a position to be able to get a drop down from direct transmission with the capacity that would support a data center on the use of that property. We thought that that would be something we'd like to present to you to give some consideration, because from an aesthetic standpoint, we could do a lot with the building. From a use standpoint, it generates obviously no truck traffic and not a lot of employee traffic either, but it does generate very high rateable, because a lot of money per square foot is spent on such a facility, usually upwards of $2,000 a square foot. So you're looking at a building that be hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not close to $1 billion just because of the infrastructure in the building, not the shell, core and shell itself. We wanted to team up with the best data center developer from a track record standpoint we could find in New Jersey, and we did, in reaching out to the Russo Group, and Mike Pembroke from Russo will talk to you about some of the people they provide this service for in their data centers here and in New York. But suffice it to say that geography works, the ability to get transmission to this site works. The other two pieces of property that are in the township that are currently zoned for that use would not work because you cannot get direct transmission drop down to those sites. That's a key element of data center feasibility, to be able to get a direct drop down from that and have that kind of capacity that this does. And we've spent a fair amount of time with Jersey Power. They're going through a more detailed load study right now to confirm power to be supplied to the site. So, from the preliminary study, we're comfortable enough that it can be done. Now we're getting to the details of doing that, but none of that makes sense unless we can have the ear of this board that we can do that in this location.
And for me, what are sites that are in the zone that would allow data centers that you say could not get drop down power, so a data center could not happen on those two lots? What are those blocking lots?
They're in the packet I gave you, the exhibit. Bear with me, Attorney Bill, for a moment.
Yeah, just so you know, this thing came in late in the afternoon. I sent it out to everyone, but I haven't even had time to look at it, so I don't know where it is in here.
Yeah, if you take a look at the zoning map, which is on page
Which sheet?
zoning on the top left corner, it's a little map in the middle there.
It's the parcel directly to the east.
5?
Yeah.
Bryce is holding up his hand saying 5. I don't know, John, can you see me? I can hold it up, what it looks like.
Yeah, I can see you.
You see what I'm holding up?
Nope. I can see what Mr. Pector's holding in his hands.
Well, that's great, because that would
That's
help.
the same thing.
Well, turn it.
Steve,
I don't know where the camera is.
Yeah, right there.
There.
Yeah, it's that page.
I can, which is
So
the,
this is the subject piece we're talking
Right.
about.
Right.
It's a Voorhees piece on the south side of 78. Voorhees piece says a piece on the north side of 78. We're not dealing with that. That doesn't work. We can't get power to that. And nor are we interested in talking about that one as being this use. That's probably more apt to end up being open space than anything else.
Okay.
This.
Let me just answer John's question, which is that if you take a look at the OPLR zone, it's what's in orange and in green. And one of those is an affordable housing site and one of those is preserved farmland. So that's where the permitted use of a data center is. And what we're proposing is in the RO zone on the other side of Route 78, where there actually is the drop down for the power. And that exists in the OPLR zone where those two sites are.
okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Lou. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's, I think, the use of the site, I think we've identified. What I'd like to do is introduce our partner, which is Russo Development, because I think data center is relatively new. You all may have some questions to that. I'd like to have them also describe their history of that use and particulars about the building itself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, why don't you come on up? Sure. Introduce yourself to the committee and tell them a little bit about what a data center is and why this is a good thing here.
Sure. So good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Pembroke. I'm a principal of Russo Development. We are a private development company based in Bergen County. Just a little bit about us briefly. We're second generation, been around about 50 years. We do a lot of multifamily development. We deliver about 1,000 apartments a year, primarily in northern central New Jersey. Our closest project here is actually in Hackettstown. We have a job under construction now, about 250 units in Hackettstown. We do a lot of industrial development as well in New Jersey. That's how we really got our start. But a big part of what we also do is data center development. So we've been fortunate to make a lot of build-to-suit data center deals for big financial services firms in northern New Jersey, companies like New York Stock Exchange, JP Morgan Chase, Bloomberg, Citigroup, Credit Suisse. And these were all purpose-built facilities that really were critical for financial services infrastructure, in that part of the state. So a lot of these facilities First, what a data center is. Data center really is a large structure that has utility infrastructure and the backup infrastructure to support a company's computing operations. So any of their IT functions where you have a facility that essentially has a large requirement for power, large requirement for cooling for these IT servers, and essentially the purpose of it is to support the computers and the functionality, whether it be financial services, IT, AI, or any of these other functions. So they're very important for reliability of power as well as reliability of how the facility is designed. So looking at some of these slides here, and we had the first slide here showing data center overview, essentially just shows some of the components of the utilities infrastructure. This first component up here is the cooling towers, which really drives the cooling of the facility, which is critical to keep the temperature down in the servers. This picture down below is a utility yard where the services come into the property from the utility. Transformers are on site and all the houses and switchgear that then power the facility itself. So the next page is a map of data center locations in New Jersey. And as you can see from here, the majority of these facilities are located around New York metro area, mostly because the financial services firms that are here want to locate as close to the city as possible, typically because of the latency of the telecommunications. New Jersey's, from a data center perspective, is expensive, really from a land and more importantly, utility side. So most facilities will only locate in New Jersey if they have to be here, but some that have to be here have very important requirements for power and for reliability. The subject property is within 60 miles of New York, so we believe it could really require a variety of uses, either whether it be financial services or just other general IT, AI uses. Turning to the next page.
Quick question, what's the difference between the green dots and the blue dots?
That's a good question. Eric, you know the answer to that question? I don't think there's any particular significance.
Size and classification.
Yeah, maybe just size of facility, size and classification. So you can see a lot down New York, a lot down the Turnpike corridor. Most of our facilities have been built in the northeast part of the state, in Bergen and Hudson County. So turning to the next slide, this is just a brief case study overview of a facility we built in Orangeburg, New York, right on the border of New Jersey. That was a build-to-suit for Bloomberg. This was one of 3 critical facilities for them to support their business as far as the Bloomberg terminal. This is about 130,000 square feet, a little on the smaller side. Most of our facilities are between 200,000 and 400,000 square feet, depending upon the individual user. And these facilities, by the way, we would build. Typically, we own and manage the real estate, and then we're going to either lease out the facility or potentially build a suit for sale to an individual end user who ends up operating the facility themselves. So that's what our typical plan would be. In this case, we did a full turnkey build out deliverable for Bloomberg, about $150 million in total cost, 131,000 square feet, had a lot of critical infrastructure that was there to support the data center operation itself. If you look to the next page, with a lot of these buildings, there are some office components to them. Bloomberg had about 13,000 square feet of office space, so they had probably 100 employees that came to this facility on a given day. And this first page shows some of the office interior fit out, and then the second page shows really what is the most important part of the data center, which is what's called the white space, or the open floor that support all of the servers and racks. So this building you'll go into will have a white space floor, and that's before it's populated, and then it'll be populated with what you see below, which is racks and racks and racks of servers that support the company's computing operation. And utility power, telecommunication infrastructure, and cooling, as I mentioned, are really critical to the data center's operation. So turning to the next page, which shows as conceptual site plan. So this is the subject property, about 35 acres, and we're proposing a single-story facility of about 300,000 square feet for this project. The building itself here is shown in orange. The access would be off of 173 across from Voorhees. Typically, you'd have secure access because there's a lot of security requirements around these facilities. The eastern side of the building would be where some of the utility infrastructure is located inside the building. They typically have backup generators. So you'll have utility infrastructure that will supply the power, but they'll also have backup generation that on an emergency basis, if there's a complete loss of utility, would support this facility. And this facility typically cannot ever go down. So they have levels of reliability and redundancy to make sure that that doesn't happen. The western side of the building has parking. We do have loading shown. Loading is there on occasion when they're turning over their IT equipment, bringing in new equipment, new infrastructure, but this is not a operation where you have, more than one truck a day, two trucks a day at most. We have about 73 parking spaces. I'm sorry, about 120 parking spaces shown, again, to support any of the office infrastructure that's there. And then on the far northwest section of the property, you see a proposed substation. And that substation is essentially a substation we would construct. That'd be a customer-owned substation that would take the transmission service that is directly to the east of us here from JCP&L and take a drop from that service and create a utility substation that essentially would support this facility. And then we have other areas of the property that are there for stormwater management and just some open space. And that's essentially what the data center would look like.
Yeah, do you know how many of office would be in here if you have 120 parking spaces?
It really depends, John. I mean, it depends on who the end user would be. I mean, some users require very minimal office space, essentially just that to support their facility. Others may have 10 or 15 or 20,000 square feet. It's going to really depend upon who the ultimate end user is. But we want to make sure we have adequate parking to support what the office is. This actually is very, very similar to a facility we're building right now in Mercer County for another financial services firm. It's about 300,000 square feet, has about 15,000 square feet of office space. So we've modeled this proposed facility off of one we're ready to start construction on in the spring.
What town in Mercer County?
In South Plainfield.
That's Middlesex.
No, it's Mercer. It's the south end of
Plainfield is Middlesex now.
South Brunswick. I'm sorry.
Oh, South
Yeah,
Brunswick. Yeah, that's
not Plainfield. I'm
okay.
sorry, South Brunswick. Yeah. It's on the border. Yeah, South Brunswick, right? The Princeton Nurseries property. Yeah, which is in Mercer County.
So if we go back to page 5, data center overview. So these cooling towers or cooling air conditioning units, whatever you call them, that's exposed to the elements, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so talk to us about what kind of sound it generates.
sure.
I know that's a concern.
So, and not every facility, that is a facility that has a water cooled solution, which essentially, requires cooling towers to support the infrastructure. This was the picture of actually the Bloomberg facility inside these walls. So the infrastructure associated with the cooling towers as well as the on-site generation has to meet the state noise requirement at the property line for residential, which is 50 dB at night and 65 dB during the day. 50 dB at night is a very restrictive level. And there's a couple of things that are done. One, these are whisper quiet fans that are there to keep down any kind of noise generated from the equipment. There's also sound walls that are around this structure that keep the sound down. This facility is about 100 feet from a residential property in on the border of Orangeburg and Old Tappan, New Jersey. And we met the sound requirements there being that close to the property. So sound is, certainly something that's important. Now, this is going back to 2014. The last couple of years, the facilities are using air-cooled chillers, which are much smaller component units that reside on the roof that don't have the big fans and the cooling towers, and they're also designed to be quiet and to essentially meet those state noise requirements.
This property is actually right adjacent to Interstate 78 too.
Right.
How does the power, when you get affect the rates for the people in the neighborhood? Because I read different articles where it can have an effect on the rate for residential pricing in that area.
Right here. I was just gonna say.
Yeah, no, the retails, I mean, the rates are set by the tariff and they're set at individual levels at either retail level for residential. There's transmission power costs and then there's sub-transmission power. So within JCP&L, they have a rate in their tariff that they have to meet. So the fact that there's a utilization of power service from one area doesn't affect the residential ratepayers at all. They're paying essentially a retail rate. The power in New Jersey is expensive, and that's why a lot of these mega, hyperscale facilities don't come to New Jersey because the power is expensive. Where retail power is 15 cents per kW kilowatt hour. A transmission power, something to support this facility, could be as little as 10 or 11 cents a kW, which is pretty good. In Iowa, in North Carolina, they're paying 3 or 4 cents a kilowatt hour for power. So that's power cost is a little bit of impediment here, but for these particular uses and customers at transmission service, they're willing to locate to New Jersey, but it wouldn't have any impact on. And as a matter of fact, I mean, the fact that this power is right at the doorstep, there is very little cost to the utility to bring service to the site. If utility has to serve you for what your requirement is, but if you're 5 miles away from the closest substation, they have to spend $10 million to bring you service, and it's going to take you 2 years to do that. That's really not a great spot to locate for service. I mean, the transmission service is really the key to this property and why it's unique and why it makes sense for a data center. There's a 230 kV, a 115 kV, and a 34.5 kV line. So 3 different levels of voltages run just to the west of this property. That's a pretty rare occurrence in the state where you have developable land that's proximate to this. So the fact that you have that and it's there today is also important to data center users. You can get an engineering study from a utility that will tell you, we'll bring you, 20 megawatts in 2 years, but the utility has to study it, has to bring it to you. This is here today. So a user will look at this and say, okay, we have this opportunity to construct a data center now because we know the power exists here today and the cost to get it there is not that significant. Our data center I just described, we have a 69 kV PSENG switch right next to our property. So we're building another substation next to it, but our tenant knew that power is there today, and that's why they've committed to locating to that facility.
I just want to make sure I understand. The reason they want to have the proximity to New York, is that so that the communication between the location in New York and here is almost instantaneous? Is that why it's close? Like the
Yeah.
farther away it would be? So if it's like a stock exchange,
Right.
that somebody could, there's been issues already just across the river in Jersey City where it's with them manipulating the purchase of stock because of the delay.
Yes.
I guess my question would be though is, as we know, technology is always going so rapidly and so fast. What happens in 5 years if they eliminate that delay and the price of electric is high in New Jersey? What prevents them from saying, bye, we're going to North Carolina, we're gonna pay 3 cents a.
Yeah, well, so that has been talked about for a long time, and latency is very, very important, and that's what they're talking about, low latency.
Yeah, I don't know the terminology.
Yeah, low
You
latency
got it.
from, right, but from the facilities and I'll tell you a quick story about, so our facility we built for New York Stock Exchange. It's 400,000 square feet, and it is the trading engine of the exchange. So the engine of the exchange sits in that building in Bergen County, even though the exchange obviously is in New York. And there's all the banks co-locate, or they have a number of servers that locate in that facility. And they all fight about, in the same building, who's going to be closest to the actual server that's the engine of the exchange, even though you're talking about speed of light.
Right.
So they coil out fiber optic cable to make every single server equally distant from this the main engine of the exchange. And they're paying a fortune to do this, but they're trying to create equal playing field at the speed of light, which doesn't make any sense, but it just shows you how critical it is as far as the latency is concerned. So, technology of communications, fiber optic communication is really how this all takes place. Although there are some microwave communications that are starting to happen. There's actually a microwave chain that goes from New York Stock Exchange to Chicago. point to point all the way across the country by microwave communication. That's something new they've done. But for the majority of all these companies, telecommunications are happening through fiber optic connections and cabling. And years ago, they wanted 12 different service providers, and we have some facilities that have a ridiculous amount of, points of entry from different providers. Today, you have 2 or 3 good dark fiber providers, which we can have out in this location to provide that good telecommunication service. And you're very close, but you don't have to be, 10 miles from Manhattan anymore to really have these facilities, make sense and work.
Well, that's my question is, when will we, they only be within 1,000 miles?
Yeah, it's the problem is the further out you go, it's not just the distance of fiber, it's your switching points, right? So it's not, if you had a, direct cable from New York to Chicago and you had the speed of light, then you're still gonna have low latency. But the further out you go, the more you deal with different communication providers, carriers, switching points, and that's what really adds the delay that a lot of these companies are, they can't have as part of their operation.
In terms of the stability of the site for this use and the amount of the investment that takes place in order to put one of these data centers in there, how long a time period can you expect this type of use to be in place?
So good question. So most of our leases are 20-year leases that have multiple 10-year options beyond that. We've been building data centers for 24 years, about 3 million square feet. We've never gotten one back. So, it's a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 per square foot investment, major continued investment with the facility as they're turning over infrastructure and equipment. Our JP Morgan Chase facility we built in 2006. We are getting that back in a couple of years. The first one we're getting back, they're locating to a facility in Totowa and also Orangeburg, but we're going to see that. But the amount of infrastructure cost, and not only that, just the external infrastructure of the power and the telecommunications. Once that's set up, it's very, very hard for them to leave.
So you're gonna own the building now, you're only gonna lease it to whoever, you're always gonna own it.
That's our preferred option. There's different options as well, but our preferred is to develop the facility itself, whether it be a full turnkey facility, and then to own it and lease it to a third party operator who would then come in and actually operate the facility. We've done different things. We have our facility we're doing right now in Clifton, New Jersey for Citigroup. We partnered with Sentinel Data Centers. We've done a couple deals with, and they're actually going to operate the facility on behalf of Citigroup. So we have services that can go so far as to even operate the facility. We've done deals. We've built just the shell, core, utilities, and we lease the shell to a company, and they'll come in and fit out the space themselves, and they'll spend, $1,000 plus a foot to fit out the interior of the facility. So we've structured deals a lot of different ways.
Anybody have any questions?
What strain does this do to the grid, if any?
So for the transmission service that's there, this is not going to, if we're talking 230 kV, I mean, that can handle, hundreds of megawatts of capacity. So JCP&L, we're working with them to, essentially make sure that this facility can be supported but the transmission service is, really unique, and something that, has plenty of capacity for a facility like this.
All right, so I have 2 questions. One for our professional and one for you. We won't know about the vehicle traffic until you have an end user though, whether they're gonna put 20 employees there or 150, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right,
We
so-
can give you studies of other facilities. that we built,
Well,
but,
that,
yeah.
and the reason I ask is obviously because there's an intersection there and I don't know if you're familiar or not, but right at that same intersection, we're putting in an affordable housing complex that is probably 120 cars parking and this and that. So they'll be comparing there. And for the most part, I don't think it's a real problem until there's a problem on 78. And that area is nightmarish. The flow of traffic that's getting off of 78 to go down 173 in either direction can be nightmarish. So that's something that we'll talk about later. John, can you hear me?
Yep, I sure can.
So my question, and I don't know if we want to discuss this right now or anything, but since these folks kind of need to know, if we change the zoning for this, what liabilities does that open us up for the rest of the township? I mean,
I don't want to talk about this in an open meeting. About that in a closed session of the meeting. But the bottom line is, after I render my opinion on that, I don't think it's a big risk, but I want to explain it in closed session.
Okay, fair enough.
Sure, and just parking, so another facility, New York Stock Exchange is 400,000 square feet. We have 83 car parking spaces there, and they probably have, 40 people there each day. So it's gonna really, vary on.
And
the
40
use,
to me is, I mean, 100 is probably insignificant.
Yeah.
Over the course of a 16-hour day, but.
Yeah, and most important, truck traffic is
Next to
non-existent.
nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
non-existent.
And right now, the property is zoned for office professional.
No,
Which
exactly.
would have been a lot
No,
more
absolutely.
than what we're
Yep.
actually proposing.
Yeah, we found, I mean, we found that because of the use, the innocuous, the facility, it's, once it's there, you don't even know it's there
Right.
essentially, and it's a, very good rateable. Doesn't have a draw on municipal services as far as, school children or, a lot of people that are there. And it generates, a pretty nice rateable.
Two questions. First, what did you say about the microwave communication? You said that some stock exchanges, for example, I thought microwave was used as a backbone or a backup system and not primary.
Yeah, so it's not the primary system, but they actually, the stock exchange in Mawa, as a backup, erected
No,
towers to talk to the Sakaja, go ahead, sorry.
My question is, would you agree, if the township was so inclined to consider a rezoning request, would you agree that there could not be any microwave or microwave towers on this property? But you look in this nice booklet you put together, very nice designs of buildings, but if you were going to have a microwave backup here, that's a cell tower right in your front or backyard. So would you agree no microwave tower here?
That's not a requirement. It's only really for, one of our tenants has that use, and that's for New York Stock Exchange, the very specific use. So that's not something we're proposing.
I understand. You're not proposing it. Would you agree if the township was inclined to give you a rezoning that you would include in that rezoning, there could not be any microwave or other tower on the property?
I think we could agree to that. This is something where, I mean, there are utility towers, obviously, that are pretty close to the proximity, but a microwave tower would not be a requirement for something like this. Yes.
Also, the 120 parking spaces presumably are designed to accommodate 20,000 square feet of office. Is that the max? If that's the max, is that correct?
I mean, it's not the max, but that's something that we've seen in other facilities as far as the amount of office is concerned. But what are you getting?
If the township committee said, listen, we don't want to see more than 100 parking spaces, therefore they go out to a traffic engineer and find out the maximum amount of square footage of office that would require 100 spaces. If they were so inclined to give you a rezoning, would you agree to a condition that X would be the maximum amount of square foot of office space keyed into the maximum number of parking spaces they'd want to see on the site?
Given the fact that the current zoning is office, we'd want to really study that and understand that would really be a need for a restriction. While I don't foresee there being a major office component to this data center, as there aren't in most of the data centers, we wouldn't want to artificially restrict the number of users or tenants based upon an arbitrary number on the office space. We'd rather study it and show you from a traffic standpoint that a certain amount of office would work.
Wait, if they're going to agree to rezone this, in the ordinance, there's going to be regulations about how many parking spaces and this and that. So they'd want to know, I have a feeling that they're going to want to know ahead of time before they would be inclined to grant this request exactly the maximum they're going to get. They realize right now it's zoned for office. They realize that your proposal should produce a lot less traffic, a lot less office. But if they wanted to have the ability to put a maximum on it, I'm not saying what the maximum would be tonight. We don't know, but would you be willing? Obviously, you're going to study it, but would you be willing, if they're going to rezone it, to have a maximum on that if that's one of their concerns?
Well, again, I think we'd have to study it and see what that would look like. And as far as what the mechanism is for rezoning the property, I'm not sure what that really is either. We're here to present what that, so is it a use variance? Is it a zone change? We're not sure what. Yeah.
We're here for a change in the zoning, not for an application.
I want to make it clear, you're not here for a use variance. You're not.
No. But I'm saying the mechanism, right?
That's number one. Number two, I know you're going to study it, but you're not answering the question. The question is, you study it, you send it to the township committee, but if if they have a concern about traffic and it's a reasonable concern, are you willing to agree to have
Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
that's all I wanted to hear. I don't questions.
So the building will be occupied 24 hours a day with some type of staff.
There'll be some staff there, yes, some support staff there at 24
Okay,
hours.
hey, Paul, the intersection of this and the affordable housing, is it right next to?
They, according to the map, it's right across.
The intersection. So they would have to take it up with the county on what. when they do
Well,
the
that's the
traffic
state.
study,
Yeah,
or state highway.
That's the state.
With the
highway.
traffic light
Sure,
and stuff like that.
Right. But they'll all do that when they get to, so actually, and I guess I have one more question, because then once it gets to the land use portion of it, we're not allowed to discuss that, but here at TC, we can. What are the planned ratables for this complex?
So
Ask that if they want a rezoning. It's absolutely a legitimate question.
right, so. So it varies by municipality, but typically they're assessed similar to what a warehouse development or industrial development would be. So in our portfolio, the taxes range from, I would say, $2 a foot to $3.50 per square foot is typically what the ad valorem tax is on a lot of our facilities. And that's how the municipalities usually assess them. They're assessed more as a warehouse facility. It's a very high cost facility, but it's a very specific use. It has tremendous depreciation because of the type of equipment that goes in there. It's not, 39-year equipment. So at the end of the data center's life of 15 to 20 years, there's very little value in what typically is interior to the facility. So that's why when they assess it more of the, structure and infrastructure for a warehouse.
$2,000 a foot to build a thing, and it's only going to throw off $2.50 to $3.50 square foot in taxes?
That's how they're assessed, yes.
So this is about $60,000 in taxes, 300 times, say, $3 will be 90,000, it's
600,000
600?
at a minimum, yeah.
Okay,
600,000 to.
that's not what I got from our tax assessor. She gave us something. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
Yeah.
600 to, it depends, how it's assessed, what your tax rate is. We haven't studied the tax on this property, but I'm just giving you comparable taxes for other
But we
developments.
can't ask another town because, every town is different.
Yeah, everything counts different. How
I
it's
think
assessed.
I think it is addressed in one exhibit. Oh, I'm sorry, we were 754,000 is our projected,
It was what?
754,000.
54,000.
Projected, that was taxes.
250, yeah, at 301,000 square feet, at 250 foot, 754.
Lily, you have anything?
No, you asked my question.
Anybody else? John, you have anything else?
My only other question is, have any of these facilities, whether it's yours or any that you know of, have ever caught fire? And if so, how do you put out a fire in one of these facilities? We had a lot of stuff with solar facilities on how to put them out. And you don't use water, was the answer there. But what do you do about that?
Yeah, so we've never had a fire at any of our facilities, and I can't think of a loss anywhere in the state where that has occurred, but there are.
How about in the country? There had to be a fire in one of these data centers somewhere in the country. How do you put out a fire?
So they have pre-action systems that, it's a very intricate fire protection system. In the data floor itself, there's a pre-action system where the pipes can't be loaded with water because they're sitting over IT equipment, on a daily basis, but they are designed with a mechanism that they'll charge the pipe once there is the event of a smoke. They have what's called a VESDA system, a very early smoke detection system. If there's any kind of a whiff of a smoke from any type of a server that may be overheating, that's, they have these VESDA systems all over the data floor that pinpoint exactly what could be happening. They can shut down the server and deal with that before it becomes a real issue. And then the utility infrastructure portions of the facility are designed with, deluge type systems that are what you find in a warehouse, as an early suppression fast response system. So fire protection and water, capacity are important for sure.
Or put it this way, you didn't have any special training necessary for the fire department?
No, there hasn't been any, there's nothing the department has to.
But if there were, and they wanted access and you know, that's something that we would obviously provide.
There's certainly coordination, I mean, between, the
I
data
just want-
center.
there's special equipment, no special training, because what you're saying is basically, if there's a fire and the building systems can't put it out, you're basically gonna, you let the building burn to the ground rather than get the volunteer fire departments to try to put it out. Is that correct?
No, I mean, the fire department's gonna show up and they're gonna, deal with whatever they need to deal with on scene, but hopefully the facility itself, the way it's designed, is gonna really detect any situation before it happens and address that accordingly. But yeah, no, we would, fire department would certainly show up and there's coordination with them as well.
Now I don't have any more questions.
Everybody's done up here? Well, thank you for coming in the
Great.
presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Very helpful for us, so.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for the time.
We hope you consider, I understand you may be having some master plan review in the near future. And this would be a good opportunity now for us to be able to look at this issue because you allow data processing centers, but just across 78, where it doesn't really help either those property owners or us to be able to do it. So hope you consider it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody good? Anybody need a break or anything?
See you in a bit, John.
Okay, listen, I'm going into my meeting. If you need me for anything, text, okay?
Yep. Thanks, John.
Okay.
Take care, John.
I gotta go to Township where he is right now. Yeah. I'm gonna have to
watch the
fly.
roads, they are slippery.
I'm gonna have to fly. So we'll probably-
Let's see.
Take care, Steve. Take care, everybody.
Have fun in America.
Mr. Mayor, can I
One that was here, but one to be break. That's it.
Thank you. Drive safe, Bill. I never saw him here for that.
No?
He was here, was he? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from December 19th, January 2nd, and the executive session minutes of 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Maybe a second?
I'll second.
Any questions, comments, corrections, deletions? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
I missed January 2nd, so how do you,
Refuse to for that.
yeah, abstain?
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenyon?
Yes, abstain for January 2nd.
And Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Looking for a motion to accept the treasurer's report and the January bill list and the interim bill list.
I'll make that motion.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Any further questions, comments, need anything pulled? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenyon?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask, request that my report be moved up just a few minutes, because I do need to leave.
Okay, let's do that then for you, Bryce. We can do that right now before we go to the tax collector. So go ahead.
Try to make this brief as possible. Comcast, which I know is on the list later, but they're continuing to work with the county portion. We did come to some information that there are some portions that they said that they were gonna do, that they should be doing, that they're are not doing, so we're gonna be reaching out to them to make sure that those sections of town are done. We got this information through their contractor, not from Comcast directly, so we're gonna be reaching out to Comcast to make sure that there is these roads are on, these residents are on the schedule to be have service,
Okay.
specifically Revere, and I think it's Alice Court that's off of Revere. We got rumor that they were not gonna do it. And that's not allowed per the ordinance, so we're gonna follow up with that.
Okay.
Willows, they are coming to a point where they're gonna be requesting COs or TCOs coming towards the end of the month here. So we're gonna be working diligently with them to make sure that they are meeting the requirements that are in the plans, but they're getting everything lined up with the conservation district, the county, the building, construction departments, and us. They're trying to schedule it all up, so they're wanting to start putting people in there come February.
Lisa, did they send you anything yet, Jeff, about the conservation part of the property?
I have not received anything
So I
yet.
don't know how they can do that without, sending you the paperwork and getting
I
that.
haven't gotten anything back.
You know what he's talking about, Brian?
half that property is supposed to be conserved.
Conserved, yeah, so I will make a note about that and that they need to,
Yeah, Jeff was supposed to send that months ago.
okay. They've requested a meeting from us for next week to kind of discuss that process. I mean, they have things they have to do. We need to understand what they're gonna, obviously, they're not looking to have full COs because they can't. It's gonna be TCOs, temporary COs. What does that look like? Well, they're gonna have to do it in the proper stage. They can't put the back units as the first ones. They've got to do it in proper order. So, because they're gonna be continuing construction. We don't want residents in there while they're banging on the next door. So, and we wanna make sure that the access is proper, make sure the driving is proper, you know, they can't pave this time of year, so the driveway's not gonna be totally done. What does that look like? So. We'll be having those conversations, but I just wanna make the committee aware that they're looking to push forward.
Should the fire chief go in and make sure he can get around? I mean,
In theory, that portion of it's already been
Yeah.
done
with the,
at the land use
Yeah.
site, so.
They have to get the construction code officer to sign off too. It's not, we're not gonna be issuing the CO, so. But they have a lot of people that they need to have sign off on that.
Okay.
And we'll be looking at all the plans and all the resolutions. One of the items that they want to discuss too is the lighting. Brian and I spoke earlier about some complaints that are happening about the lights that are there now.
they're a little too high. They're at window height.
Yeah,
where
so
they
we're
don't
gonna
need
look
to
at
be.
that.
Yeah,
So-
that heights, yeah.
At the peak of the roof or something.
So, just wanted to mention that, tomorrow I'm meeting with Jen, she wants to go over some, possible tax map revisions, so we'll make sure you guys are okay with us working on that. If there's any issues with that, let me know. We didn't do the last round of tax maps, but we can definitely help make revisions as she, I'm not sure what she's looking for, I'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, keep you abreast on that. I think Lisa also had to invite the DOT is invited Greenwich Township to a meeting on the February 13th. To present their Route 57 bridge over to Lepacon Creek project. They invited Lepacon Creek. It's actually in Lepacon, but they
Yeah.
invited Greenwich as well. I don't know who else wants to be on that. I think I saw the invite. You were on it. I was on it. Fred's the engineer.
Where's it at?
It's virtual.
Oh, virtual?
Is this 519 or 57?
I looked at, yeah, it's
Yeah.
where Lepacon
Finally,
crosses.
I mean, that's only about 10 years.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to be on that too if I'm around and available for it.
I can, they asked me to let them know who else should.
Yeah, I'd
be
like to
invited.
be on.
Anybody else?
When is it?
February 13th at 11 o'clock.
I won't be around.
Okay. I sent out budget memos to the two DOT grant projects. Willow Grove's at 24, Lowe's Hollow is at 25. Just want to know if you guys are wanting us to proceed with the next steps, which is preparing the plans and getting them submitted to DOT. The Willow Grove section does have to be under, not complete, but has to be under contract by November of this year, or the grant could be lost. So if you want to do that piece of Willow Grove, you need to do it.
Right, well, it's gotta go through our budgeting process this spring here, so, but you should know in plenty of time.
Just wanted
Yep.
to get the
Yep.
memos to you guys, so you
Yep.
had them, and then just put it out there to let us know when you want us to start.
And your mail, I saw that they were in here, did that also include? The soft costs
Yes,
per
sir.
se?
Yes, sir.
It did, okay, all
Yeah.
right, that's all.
Yeah, you'll see it break down. It shows what the estimated construction cost, and we're using the Morris County Co-op. That will change in March when they redo it, because we're not gonna obviously be constructing by March, so they might go up a little bit, but it's good for budgetary
Right,
purposes.
okay.
But we have in there the survey plan specifications, project administration, construction oversight, pavement testing is all in there.
Okay,
And you'll see that that's actually the. On Lowe's Hollow, that is basically the overage is
is the cover,
is
yeah, I
the
was
soft
gonna,
cost.
cause usually what's it about 25% of
Yeah,
the,
you can get some. Recover, but you can't get them all.
get it all, right?
Right, so you'll see that both of them actually are, it's really, the
Okay.
overage is kind of the soft.
The soft cost, okay.
And then I saw the contract for the diac saying, just let us know if and when you want us to get started on working on that project.
That it?
Well, that's gonna have to be soon, you know, try to get it coordinated with,
Franklin,
Franklin, because they were already went out to bid, awarded in the bid, so I think we need to start the bidding process. So that, you know, if Montana does win that bid, they can do it in conjunction.
And Montana did win that bid.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
But I think what I saw, you still have to sign the contract with the DEP to get, to get all that set up, so.
right. So
But
I
yeah,
would
we can get
imagine-
started on that whenever you want. I mean, there's obviously a process through all that.
And I believe we got a bond on that, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's,
Now that we have the contract, we have to,
right, so we're gonna award that, I mean, we're gonna sign that contract tonight? Did I see that in
well,
here?
I sent it to Mike. We just got it, so I don't know if he had time to review it.
We did review it. One of the guys in my office reviewed it. And it's pretty strict, it's just,
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
strict. So we just gotta make sure that we follow all of the requirements. So.
So, under your suggestion, we can have Bob sign that tonight?
I don't have any problem with the contract. I mean, it's lengthy, has a lot of words in it, but it's pretty straightforward. It's just, the DEP has, before we do anything, we gotta make sure that we
Right,
get their sign off. So.
and then once they sign off, Shannon, I guess you would begin, you and Lisa with the bond council. Is that how it goes, Bob? Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
we had all of those estimates and everything, but that was so long ago. I'll reach back out to John and make sure we're in the same ballpark, right? Had to be over a year ago.
Then once it's all complete, then we have to throw another form out to get the reimbursement back for it.
It is a
then we gotta
reimbursement
pay-
project.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, in Franklin, it was fairly smooth.
was it?
Yeah.
did they get, well,
What took us a long time was the fact that there was a county portion, there was a railroad portion, there was, of course, the water companies involved, so that's really where.
right,
a lot
there's
of-
no county road crossing over here, we don't have to worry.
Yeah,
about
no, we don't, it's a lot smaller situation here than
Right.
what Franklin had, so, that was a lot longer process because of dealing with railroad, county, and water company. Can you deal with three worse people?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, was that on that?
We're in public session.
Was that on that? So, that's all I have.
Okay.
Any
thank you.
questions for me?
Anybody have any questions?
No.
I
Thanks, Brett.
apologize, this is a rarity.
That's okay.
That's okay.
For some reason, Franklin Land Use Board moved their meeting up a half hour.
Okay, so we understand your first night here on your ballot.
That's right.
And it's only a couple miles down the road, so.
Well, I don't want, Mike would still be here at 7:30, so come on, give me a break. He can still talk at 7:30.
Poor Mike.
And Mike is just finished day 4 at the county, so if you want to give him a hard time, he's at the county, he's officially a county employee.
Oh,
so-
okay.
I did see him at ShopRite, all dressed up, suit and tie and whatnot.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
like,
yeah, this was day 4, so he is at the county, so now you can harass him as a county employee.
Wow.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we accept the tax collector's tax and sewer report for December. Anybody want a second?
Second,
Any have any questions, comments on that? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
No.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes,
Mr. McDermott? Yes.
Consent agenda. Police Department. Rich, you have anything you want to ask you?
No, Mayor.
Anybody have any questions of the chief? I do, Ryan had just asked, do you have anybody in line yet for crossing guard at that, when the affordable housing opens? That little intersection?
Yeah.
I didn't get a confirmation that we were doing that. I thought we were waiting to see what was happening with it.
what intersection, Bob?
Well, they got across from there,
They got
across
crossed over.
Greenwood Street to get to the sidewalk and then go down to the other crossing guard.
No, I
That's true,
know.
yeah, there's nothing on that side, yeah.
Yeah, I know that we discussed that, not at a meeting, but
Yeah,
but,
I think,
you want me to definitely.
I think you gotta start advertising.
I'll start advertising.
Yeah, otherwise you're gonna end up paying a cop to be there.
It's gonna be tough. I hear Lopakon officers out covering their.
No, I know from
Every-
Phillipsburg, they could never fill all the posts. with
So
that.
I will advertise.
I mean, it's a tough, it doesn't pay much and it breaks up your whole day. You gotta go for your, whatever it is, hour in the morning, then you're off for 6 hours, you go back for an hour in the afternoon. It's very
We
hard
were
to get
fortunate
people.
with our last, when they came in, it took a long time to, find someone to apply.
I know, that's why when he asked, I thought, well, we better, you better start advertising now, I think. for it. So, anybody have anything else on the chief?
Yeah, chief, only 10
I saw that too.
10 summonses in Rich truck? I constantly get people complaining to me about trucks. I mean, last year was 47 in December, this year it's 10. This year we're batting 100, you had 100, 100 were issued summonses. I mean. I hate to say it, there's gotta be some more accountability. You know, every time I drive by the police department, it's loaded with cars. I know you're short on manpower, but if they have to do an Oprah request, sit on South Main Street and use the computer and do an Oprah request. I don't know the solution. But 10 tickets, 10 pullovers for trucks on our roads is inexcusable.
I got nothing to say. I mean. That's the number. I know that, the posts are still required for them to sit out there and run traffic posts for, truck tickets. So,
The overall, incidents are down 30%. 15,289 down to 10,686. That's a huge drop.
absolutely.
Adult arrests down 32%.
I explained in my last report, the fact that I'm having to take officers off the road to fulfill administrative duties now, is quite burdensome with the amount of reporting that we have to do, the amount of body cam footage that we have to do. And, it's not something that's a quick and easy fix as far as if we get a body camera request. I was doing that by myself. I had that, since put that with another officer, take him off the road. When he does something like that, to review camera footage for, let's say, something that is a domestic arrest that takes maybe an hour. He has to watch that whole footage. And if someone wants a copy of body camera footage for an Oprah request, we have to go back and redact that, and it's not a slow, easy process. It's very lengthy, and basically when someone an Oprah request for body cam footage, I take that time of that video and I'll multiply it by 4. So if it's a 4 or 1 hour footage, it's 4 hours. It's gonna take the officer to sit there and redact that.
Now, do you, for quality control, does somebody else look at it to make sure that everything that needed to be redacted was redacted, or?
No.
No, so it's just the officer gets assigned and then, okay.
Yes.
Are there any administrative roles that we can put in another civilian to do? Obviously, they can't redact that type of information.
Okay.
You mean hire a civilian to do some administrative roles?
Right, so that we put more patrolmen out.
There's certain things that they can do. They would have to be trained with CJIS compliant to use the computers. Obviously, they're background checked in the same format as kind of an officer, because they would be handling sensitive information. It's kind of like what our secretary does in a sense.
What about a specials? You hire another special officer, a class 2, to do something like that, and then they're available to help you if you needed them for something else, where you have them internally, where they can even help people that come in, and you don't have to call someone off the road. That's,
Yeah, right now we have the ability to hire one more special. As per state law, you can't hire more than 20% of your
okay.
department.
Well, the class 3s don't count in that, do they?
I believe they do, yes.
I didn't think the class 3s did, but
I'm not, no, I'm not positive about that, but I believe.
I thought they were outside of that. You
It's-
can't have more than
Yeah, it's
20% class
possible. I mean,
3s.
this is.
Because class 3s can only do school, they can't do anything.
Correct, yeah.
right.
What is Rowan Township? I hate comparing another town with us, but do they have
How,
a lot of civilians helping them out?
No,
No?
true, the officers get
Yeah.
a lot of the burden of everything.
yes,
And they have, and we have 5 internally. Plus 4 admin internally that are there every day inside.
Police officers.
Yeah.
and another thing is, internal affairs. We have an internal affairs officer that is dedicating a lot of time to those matters. That there's several things that, within the last few years that the Attorney General mandates us to do. early warning system with reviewing officers if they are have problems. We have to address that, and then we have to send those reports to the county. This year, at the end of every year, I had to file annual reports with whether it be the state or the county. Last year, I'm gonna estimate I had to do 24 reports. This year, it's gonna be way more than that. I don't know the exact number, but it's gonna be a lot more. Annual reports that I have to file. It's the amount of administrative work is,
That's coming out of Trenton, unfunded again, you know, so. Yeah, I can understand your pain there. So,
and, you know, obviously, not only taking the officers off the road for certain patrol things, but putting them in admin, the fact that we've had an officer off for
right,
better half a year,
right.
it's you know, another down manpower.
All right, chief, thanks.
Brian, did you have anything?
No, I just saw the pen as well.
Oh, okay. Anybody else? Okay, DPW, Joe's not here. Paul, you have anything?
Yeah, no, I talked to Joe. There was nothing specific that isn't answered in his report that he wanted to be brought up.
How many salt events have they had so far?
I think 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. These small ones.
So I think they're out right now.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah.
But yeah, he told me at around 5:30, he was sending the group out to go salt.
Yeah.
Pretty slick out there.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, it was, especially on top of the hill there, up by Ridgeline Hill, like, I went around that, under that culvert. Yeah, I'm in the Jeep, the thing slid. It's that real fine.
No, it's a fine drive, but the
Yeah.
problem is the road temperature is
It's very
below
cold.
freezing,
Yeah.
right?
It's been cold for a while.
cold,
so,
right.
yeah.
And it was snowing pretty hard down here, like the southern end of the county, like up where I was. More than anything.
Okay, Township Clerk's report.
Just a couple things, Bob. We have the Muskinecon Watershed Association membership. We normally do a vote on the record for that. They handle a lot of the heavy lifting for our stormwater points every year,
So we need a motion to release that money.
to join the membership and,
Join.
pay the $500.
Anything else?
I did want to make a note that we realized in the meeting date resolution that's in my report, Mike has agreed I can just send an advertisement to correct that, but unfortunately we had the third Thursday in November, we always switch that to the second Wednesday, so I'll
We
make
need to
that
do a
correct.
motion on that tonight for them, or?
I don't think so, because the text of the resolution is correct.
Yeah,
They
so
did
just, we just have to correct it. So
Okay.
And the other thing that I had was that, we made minor changes to the solicitor application, that I gave to everybody tonight. The changes are highlighted. We just want to make it obvious that they need to bring a government issued photo ID, and, we found out that somebody submitted a license from a different state, so now we're requiring the state to be on there. So if you guys will approve that change, we'll update that. Only other thing, I just want to thank all of my coworkers who jumped right in and helped me when I was out and working from home for the 3 weeks on my medical leave. And to keep the office open for full hours, and they did a great job, and I appreciate them.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion that we renew our membership with the Muskinecon Watershed Association for a cost of $500?
I'll make that motion.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Any further questions, comments? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott? Yes.
And we want to make a motion that we amend the solicitor permit application with the corrections as noted in yellow on the application that you have. All right.
That motion.
Second,
Any other questions, comments? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
yes.
Ms. McDermott? Yes.
Court report. We have any, I don't even see it.
No, there was one in here.
I lost it.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's in there somewhere. Paul, when did we get the bottom line? Next-
Usually by February.
Yeah, usually by February.
Okay.
Okay, and then the ACO report. Anybody have any comments?
Yeah, I got comments like
I knew
crazy.
there was gonna be comments.
So the ACO report is the, you know, the brief one page, but this bill was then presented, through our ACO officer to me. And I've discussed it with Shannon. Shannon's actually in the process of going back and seeing what we paid for last year. But yeah, there's a lot of questions on there and, I
Sure,
was
get
trying to
back.
connect with Brian this week, but he's, you know, it's been tough.
Did you get back to you?
I think we should probably meet with her or
Yeah.
potentially go there. So if you have availability, to have a sit down.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to. I guess have better orders or. You know, this is just, it's out of control. I mean, it might not be anything we can do about
And
it.
also this invoice is very confusing, which is why Shannon's it's gonna take a
Yeah,
little
it's
time
got
for her to
like
look
23
back.
in there.
Yeah, there's like 23 things in between. It doesn't even kind of make sense, but, the one thing that I'm concerned about is that they're charging us for all of these boarding incidents that seem very short. If they board a dog for 10 days and then they have to euthanize it, that's one thing. We're gonna have that bill. But it seems to me that if it's 2 days or 3 days, the owner probably picked it up and the owner should be paying that before they take the animal. So,
Right.
there's just a lot to it. I have been having some back and forth with Amanda. I don't really have any answers except that she did, say that what seemed to be a duplicate of the rabies clinic was actually 2023. So if we could look back at what you paid, and we'll have to have a sit down with her, unfortunately, but right now this bill is on hold. We're not paying it, but,
Yeah, I mean, we're paying 10 days to board feral cats. At $300. You know,
and I don't think that I don't think that there's really a choice. I think that's part of the,
well, that's
Mandate.
what I said, we might not have a
Yeah.
choice, but I gotta tell you, I'm not about boarding feral cats.
but also my big question, I don't know why we're microchipping animals that are.
Yeah, no, that's true too, right?
Right. Yeah, I know.
More questions than answers, so I just wanted you guys to see the full,
No,
invoice.
no. Yeah, we need to, between Canyon River and Amanda and things, we need to. Figure it out. I mean, I don't wanna, well, I mean, $3,000 is a lot of money
Oh, yeah,
in a day and age where
It's only
we're
gonna
county
get worse.
posted stamps.
yeah, that's the problem with the freelance.
Right.
Gonna get worse.
So, but anyway, yeah,
Okay. Anybody wanna make a motion to accept the police department, DPW, township clerk, zoning, code enforcement, court report, and ACO report?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Any questions, comments before we go? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
yes.
Mr. Kenyak?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes,
Committee reports. Lillian, you have anything?
I don't.
Okay, Bill, you have anything? No? Ryan?
No.
Paul?
Real quick, I mean, with Jeff with zoning, he's got his hands full with a handful of things. Which is also keeping him to getting to some other things.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that there wasn't really a physical report there, but he's been in court, he's going to court. The courts aren't super helpful. But there's just. Believe it or not, there's a lot of little stuff that's going on, but he does have his finger on it. But it is also keeping us from moving forward with lots of other little things. You know, but it's working, it's just a work in progress.
Lisa, do we have, and I'm trying to find, do we have the fines? Are we voting on that today?
I pulled it. I
Okay,
pulled P-Berg so we can talk about it.
okay, thanks.
Paul, does he need more office hours as we go into the budget?
Well, I'm gonna say yes and no, but we'll talk about that,
We'll
in
talk more-
executive.
Okay, talk more with him. I mean, he seems to be doing a good job.
No, he is,
Yeah,
but
so-
we can talk more about it in executive.
That's it, no one else? Professionals, Mike, you're every for executive, right? Where we did.
Yeah, just one update is, at the last meeting, the rewords came in about the driveway and a letter of support. So Joe Mexi sent me his copies of his letters that he sent. So I drafted something. So I should be able to have something to you, Mayor, by, if not tomorrow, Monday at the latest.
Okay.
Okay, and then like, actually, I got. Two things, Joe had sent you a contract for, the, collection of the electronics and things of that nature.
Yeah, I got a memo for, yeah, it's, I gotta send the memo over to them. I had somebody review the contract. It's-
Okay.
I think
Not
it's
as
fine,
cut
but
and
it's
dry
not-
as we'd like it to be?
Yeah, I can tell you more in executive.
Okay, and then my final thing is, I missed this last meeting, but back in November. Warren Materials had responded to your requests finally about things. Do you remember it clearly, or?
No, I remember that they were supposed to, I wasn't at the meeting at the town, but you folks had requested them to provide copies of their reports
Well,
that they had filed and then.
but, and that is. They actually didn't really do that. They sent us copies of all the permits that were granted. But with no lab testing results, no particle results, no anything. As far as they're concerned, they're compliant and the state says they're compliant, but they didn't really give us the numbers. The data. And I thought that was, after waiting probably, what, 6-7 months, that was a big end round. You know, I wanna know what the particulates are that their emission system is throwing out. You know, and as Bob Vetcherson had pointed out, because of the type of system, it's okay to see steam coming out there, but when there's black smoke being emitted, that is not part of what they're permitted for. So they kind of did an end round. I don't know how we wanna go back and talk to them about it, but well, just by showing me you have a permit for a particulate distribution system doesn't tell me how much particulate you're putting. Is there high days, low days, this day?
So I can send another letter to them saying, hey, this isn't what the committee asked for. The only problem is, since I wasn't at that meeting, I just sent a letter saying, hey, you said
Right.
you're gonna provide these reports. So when they sent the information over, I just sent it to the town.
Didn't we send a letter to play the DEP too at the same time?
I don't believe we sent
I
one
don't
to
think
the
we sent a letter to
DEP.
Oh, I
DEP.
thought we talked, okay.
I think we might have talked about it, but I thought we were waiting
I thought we did.
for these results.
Okay, so I can send a letter to them saying, hey, you sent us the permits, but you didn't send us the backup. Where are the reports that say exactly what
Right,
you're,
right.
spelling into the
How
air?
often does the DEP go and check these?
They don't. They are under
Self-reporting.
they are self-reporting, but they have to apply virtually every year. And they are supposed to supply the DEP with the numbers that I'd like to say. And basically, they're saying, oh, well, the state gave us our permit, so we're good. You know,
7 days.
No.
so anyway, so.
Yeah, Lisa just asked me, well, could we get them from DEP? And I said, well, we could, but you send an open request to them, they don't operate under the same rules that we do, even though the law is the same. So it might be 6 months, so.
But anyway, they were two things that I wanted to kind of follow up with. For this evening.
Anybody else then? Oh, before I forget, Lisa, I wrote myself a note. Can you forward all of this information to Jen so she can start working and see what she can come up with for an estimate?
Will do.
Thanks. Municipal complex update. The only thing I could say is we've had meetings with DCA. Over the continuation for this grant that we have applied for. And the rest, Mike, I guess we should really discuss in executive.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but we're still working on it. Still trying to see what we can do. Okay, Pavilion Park Reservation Policy Update. We have anything on that? You have any meetings?
Right,
You
yeah.
have any other space meetings?
No.
To discuss?
So, yeah, we meet March, first Wednesday in March, so.
Comcast, Bryce gave us an update from his end. Anybody else have anything on
And
that?
I do want to comment on something too, and I haven't gotten really any complaints about bad work or anything else like that. But social media and a couple of other people that I've talked about are raving about Xfinity and Comcast lowering their bill significantly,
Oh, wow.
which is something that just by looking at their card and numbers, I didn't think they'd be able to do. You know, the routers are working on the second floors faster than Service Electric ever did. Somebody cut their bill from $190 to $110. You know, I mean, I don't know what else they cut out, it could be. But the point being is, some of the social media comments about Xfinity and a couple of people that I personally know have switched they're all happy.
That was our hope to compensate.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, it's taken a long time to get to it, but there is some positive verbiage going on with Xfinity and Comcast, so it's not all bad.
I had a solicitor knock on my door the other day. And I told him what I had, YouTube TV and Service Electric for the internet. And he got my bill down to about 145, which is still a little bit more than what I'm paying now. But he said, oh, we can work with you. So I didn't continue the conversation, but he gave me his card. So I don't know what that means. We can work with you. You know, get it under 100, then I'll sign up, you know?
Is he Comcast?
Yeah, Comcast.
Going around.
Yeah, knocking on the doors, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're the solicitor permits that are in our package, Lillian.
Hopefully they're not going around since they were told not to go around until they get these permits, but.
Oh, yeah.
It was a real nice kid from Bud Lake area, you know, so, it was- yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my first cable bill here was $18.
Anything else from old business?
Mine is like.
New business? Anybody have any new business?
Actually, I don't have new business, this is old business, and it'll be brief. Last year, we talked about our snow ordinance. And folks not clearing the sidewalks, our process is actually slow to get somebody to do it. You gotta notify them by mail and da 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 da. Well, we need the snow removed within 24 hours. I don't know that our current ordinance states that. But we need to make it state that, and we also need to let the ordinance state in there that we will send DPW out to do the sidewalks and bill appropriately,
Like we do with mowing.
like we do with mowing.
It does say
You think
24 hours.
It does say 24. I wasn't
Yeah, I think it
100%
does.
sure. I thought it did. But we started to talk about this last year, and we were gonna do it over the summer, and lo and behold, 2 weeks ago, I realized we hadn't talked about it.
I think the problem it was not that we didn't have the ordinance, but isn't the ordinance similar to the grass mowing that you got 30 days to respond?
Well, that's what we're trying to, we have to fix that, right?
We were supposed to modify all that.
We were
to
supposed
make
to
it-
modify that, yes.
Make it less painful.
We've issued several ordinances for that over the years.
No, I know over the years periodically,
And I don't think we go through that, we don't go through the whole, like.
30 days. Is
Yeah. No, it's just,
well, because that says 24, but I need to have something in the books that says Joe can go out and send his guys to clear
Yeah.
sidewalks so that we can bill.
yes.
And I'm hoping again that, yeah, PD continually, runs across the walks that aren't done.
Something like-
Because you know as well as I do, there's gonna be a problem area this year,
Yeah.
so.
Every year there,
Yeah, right.
you particularly.
So, okay, that's it. That's all I had on that.
Yeah, so, you know Jim's last name? Sicker, has requested, he needs some help. In the coming months, putting up some of the hometown banners, hometown hero banners. And he was just requesting that we waive any traffic fees that, would be occurred. Service Electric's willing to put them up, but they're obviously not willing to pay any of the fees.
We require a police officer there working, so.
I don't know the timeframe, Jim's working that out with them.
I don't remember charging them. For
Yeah, I don't
things in the
re-
last 2 years.
No, right, and I always
I
wait
guess
for
were they charged recently? Cause they sent an email like, we
I'm
can't
sorry,
do
what
this.
was it?
Service Electric wants to put up the banners for the Legion,
Can we help them?
and they always have to have a police officer there if they're working on the poles, and they want
I
the
don't
money.
remember them ever asking you.
Not
I
for
don't
this
know.
part.
We would do whatever we can to.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think what's happened is they're confusing the fact that they've got jammed up working recently on
Oh,
cable. Saying, oh, they're making me have a cop.
Yeah.
Well, we've never made them do that to put these banners up before.
Okay,
yes, that was.
We
in
didn't have
regard
to get a waiver.
Yeah.
I guess we should at least
Can
make a
you-
motion that if they do call for an officer, because that's what we require them to do, that we won't charge them, I guess.
Right,
okay.
It's a community,
yeah, cause it should be in and out. I can't believe there's a whole lot of them.
If you wanna make that motion.
3 or 4, right,
That's fine.
right.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we waive any,
Traffic fee.
traffic fees for Service Electric to put the hometown hero banners up.
I'll second. Any other questions, comments? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
And then Bob, one last thing under new business here. With the Muskinecon, area. I've been appointed to the top of that board, and Frank Pinto, is also, on that, but I'll be the first to tell you, I bailed on meetings. First off, I have a conflict on Monday nights, being with the squad and things of that nature, but I don't wanna make it sound every night. I won't say that they're particularly lengthy, but they sort of are, and really. They're boring. You know,
Say painful.
painful. But, and I kind of stopped going to them because Frank Pinto was attending them. So if there was anything that came out of it, you know, Frank would, we would, well, they got too painful for Frank to continue doing.
And he understands what they're talking
And he
about.
understands what they're talking about. So with that being said, though, I want to talk to, and if we'd like to, and I'm not looking for a motion tonight, but I just want. Ryan Haggerty, who's part of our environmental, and he works for Warren County Mosquito Commission.
Right.
He might want to partake in that.
Okay.
It's just that I don't know. As a visitor or as a representative to these meetings, they ask for voting and things like that, and I don't think he's. Gonna be able to vote for something that we or wouldn't, and mostly it's not really important stuff. But I'd like to talk to Ryan to see if he would like to sit on this board. And it's all Zoom meetings, there's no live meetings or anything anymore. But I'd like to see if he's interested in it, that's okay, I would like, I mean,
$500 now, right?
well, we have to do that regardless because they help us with certain things. But you know, he might be interested in mud snails and all that other kind of stuff that crops up in there. Okay?
I don't know. I haven't.
No, all right, so I'll talk to Ryan, and if he's interested, we'll make a motion on appointing him town next meeting.
Under executive session, 2025 rateable laws, why can't we discuss that in public? Why is that our new business?
Yeah.
Bill asked for it in
The
executive.
reason we
Yeah.
can't talk about the laws in public.
Well, I think it was.
Because I know the people know. That's not.
Yeah.
But in public.
I did that because I think it was part of that lawsuit or whatever, that agreement that, did we sign off on that?
You know what I'm talking about? Did you? Well, that's already been said.
Talking about.
It's been,
yeah.
Oh.
The reduction in the
Oh,
appraisal.
the rateables, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care, you know.
I want the public to know that we're losing
Oh, yeah.
$5 million worth of.
Rates, yeah.
Rateable.
Yeah. So what did it come out total? Is it 60?
It said $758,000, that were down this year because of, tax appeals and. A few other associated things. I don't wanna heap it at all on veterans because it wasn't all them.
Right,
But,
Three was three disabled, and we've talked about it in the past.
Right, right,
That really should be reimbursed by the federal
Right,
government.
right.
But Target won a tax appeal, Greenwich won, Common Centers won a tax
Yeah.
appeal. That brought the value of their properties down, but all told this year, we're going to be working with. It's not a true 758, but our rateables are down that, and so there's not gonna be tax money collected on that particular portion. I don't know if that's 50, 60, 70,000.
Right.
But it, you know, that's another hit, and we've taken these hits 2 or 3 years in a row now, maybe 4, these commercial properties all of a sudden because we're worth so much less and they're jamming us up and they're not. I mean, Lowe's is as busy as ever. I'm sure TD Bank is doing as good as ever.
Right.
Target appears to be doing as good as ever. You know, and all of a sudden, well, we're worth that much less, and the bottom line is. Bill and y'all are paying the extra, you know,
Right.
for that reduction, but we all, every one of us that live here in the town are paying that. And it's gotta be made up, and you see the struggle that we're already in on our budgets. And then to have to, you know, find another 60 grand.
Well, Shannon, I think you sent me an email saying that our pensions cost is going up 61,000.
Yeah,
Add 61 on.
to add 60 on to the loss
2
of.
pennies.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's without any, you know.
We haven't even started our budget yet,
Right.
and we're at least 2 pennies
Right,
in the hole,
right.
in the hole. So, brutal.
What can be done?
I guess, well, as far as what I'm talking about here on the ratables. Well, I'd like to, I almost say nothing, but I'd like to think somewhere along the line, real estate will climb again. And I don't know what the process is for us to to do that, there's a formula, and maybe
It takes
five,
4 or
7
5
years.
years for them to get it down.
Exactly.
It'll take us 4 or 5.
5 years to get it up.
But the answer to your question is, we go through this every year budget, there's really only a couple solutions. One, raise taxes. Two, attract something like tonight or whatever that has much more rateable, because I said it last year, we have like 1,800 and some properties, you know, for taxes, and only 58 of them are commercial. The rest is all residential, so any expense is really paid by the 1,800 homes.
Right.
And that's our biggest problem here, is like.
We'll get a little bit money from, very little money from Willows.
We have about $100,000, which is.
Yeah, barely, right?
Cover
Right, but who knows what the
Right.
effect it's gonna have on the school district.
Yeah.
No, right. Well, yeah, we don't know what the effect it's gonna have on the school.
And I really worry about that in the next couple of years, because as taxes go up, is that gonna hurt the price of homes? Like,
Right.
people, you know, there's not gonna be as attractive to move here.
Right.
And the school, if it continues to have issues, are people gonna not move here because they don't think the school system's that well? So I'm really worried about it, and it's been a problem. You know, we've farmland and preserved and open spaced ourselves to death here, really. I mean, it's really bad formula that we
Well,
have. I mean,
you all weren't at the land use board meeting when Kendra and John and we were all talking about the township and the numbers that they came up with for them. We are actually being penalized right now in the way of affordable housing because we have so much green space. I mean, it brought our numbers up. You know, here you're thinking you're doing right, we're farming, we're preserving and this and that. They don't consider preserved farmland in against it, but all the open farmland went against us. You know, and then they take the median income of the households and this and that. And the next thing you know, you're at 360 new affordable units. We do expect that number to come down, but they are the things that are killing us. And it's just absolutely amazing. You're like, whoa.
It happened.
I mean, I don't see how our township could sustain even if it got down to 176 numbers, which is some projected like new affordable housing units in the next 10 years. I don't know how your school system sustains that. You know, that's almost addition number.
Well, it's even worse than, we really can't afford to do 100% affordable anymore.
No,
So the number right now, we think, we're arguing is 139.
is it down that low? Okay.
But if we don't do 100% affordable, you're talking 5 times that number at home. So you're talking a
Right.
possibility of 700 new
And that's an addition.
in addition.
Right.
And homes never pay for education.
No.
Never makes up for that, especially. And first couple of years won't affect, but you know, some of our expenses now are from developments that were built in the 90s. Now we have to do the road repairs, we have to repair the drainage systems. So a lot of that is coming from 25 years ago, you know, and so that's where we're at. I mean, we've hurt ourselves in so many ways. Maybe that's not the right word, but between open space and farmland preservation, all that's off the tax books. We have our zoning. Really, there's only a couple properties left even to develop in the township because of so much preservation. And my train went off the tractor for a minute, what I was gonna say on what one of the big losses is, but well, we've cut ourselves down to the budget. There's really not a lot to cut.
No, do that.
I mean, even if you cut 60,000, it's gonna save a penny. It's like $27. I mean, we've cut ourselves to death when we open space and farmland preserved ourselves to death. So the question now is, are they willing, do they wanna just pay more? I mean, a couple of years ago, when there was a warehouses, several of them said, I'll pay an extra $100, $200 a year in taxes just to keep the warehouses out. Or if that's still their attitude, I mean, I don't know. I certainly know that if we talk to warehouse, it'd be packed, nobody will want that. So, but if we don't get rateables, the tax is just gonna continually go up, and there's no more, I don't see what you can cut. I mean, we're bare bones, like with everything.
Well, maybe data processing.
Well, that's why we invited them in, just to see what it's about.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so new business, we done?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adopt resolution 27, 25, 28, 25, 29, 25, and 30, 25, which are redemption tax liens and the safe and secure grant for 25, 26.
I'll make that motion.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Any further questions or comments?
Just on the safe and secure, chief, that's goes towards salaries?
Specifically one officer, yes.
For one, yeah, right, okay.
Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott? Yes.
Resolution 3125. Looking for a motion to adopt that. And then we could discuss, but we just kind of discussed it already.
We just kind of discussed it, but yeah.
Anybody, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. That's the one, this is for the affordable housing round. I say it's for people at home because people who watch. And we just went, the state has projected that we should have to build 360 new affordable housing units over the next 10 years. Our planner and our attorney have went through all the information, and this resolution is, it's kind of like a crazy legal thing, the way that we're kind of accepting the 360 with the caveat that we can argue that some of the land is not developable, that they're saying we can develop on our planner's numbers is 139, not 360. So we, even though it kind of like looks like we're saying we accept the 360, we are kind of just arguing it down, trying to argue down to 139. So with that, anybody else have anything? Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Shared service agreement, was that here? For the school?
I did not get it back from them.
Okay. Oh, can we get a motion, well, after we discuss it, can I get a motion, Mike, to authorize me to sign it when it comes back tonight?
Yes.
The shared service agreement, the same one we've had with the school for the last couple of years, only it changes the dates on it.
Right.
Is everybody okay if, when it comes back?
Mhm.
So I'll make a motion that, you authorize me, I guess, to sign the shared service agreement with the Board of Ed.
Second.
Yeah.
Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Ms. McDermott?
Yes.
Okay. Budget meetings,
Oh.
what's,
I heard that, Sharon.
what's their preferences, weeknights, Saturday mornings,
Saturday
6 o'clock time, Saturday mornings good for you?
Yeah, sorry.
6 o'clock Saturday morning?
6 o'clock Saturday
I
morning?
could do that.
I can do that.
I
I'm
can
actually
do that.
out.
Well, with that being said, Saturdays I work at 9, so. Not that I can't get out of some of them, but I can't do like 10 of them in a row.
Yeah.
What, so,
What do you think? Shannon, when do you think, what month are we talking about? The start?
yeah, I was gonna say, Lisa, you wanna start sending out dates to
Sure.
PC, we're poll and see what we agree on? There's no sense, when should we start? Last year we started too early because we never had any information, so that was a waste of time.
I think we should meet sooner than later with departments first.
Mhm.
Get an idea of what they want and then present it to you.
Okay, so
So I would,
When
by
we
the end of the
meet with
month, we
Andrew?
can start throwing the dates out?
I'm meeting with Andrew the 25th.
The
Oh.
25th?
So I can, let me talk to Andrew and get his suggestions. And the rest of the
And-
Because
auditor.
without the
And,
final.
Andrew had suggested that no more than 2 of us be at those meetings, so there's not a quorum, didn't he?
Mhm.
So I'm willing to go to them. Somebody else wanna go?
I'll
listen to him?
go, yeah,
So you can pretty much make that anytime. We're both retired, so.
right.
Yeah, I'm gonna send Rich and Jill their breakdown so they can tell me what they want.
Okay,
Um,
and then,
And then I'll talk to Andrew on the 25th and see what he suggests, and then I'll get back to Lisa, and then we'll
okay,
go from
so
there.
we'll start looking at dates in February then, probably?
Oh, yeah, I would put later February,
Okay,
and
okay.
then we'll go from there.
So I guess at a February meeting, we'll probably decide. You know,
The dates, set the
The dates,
dates,
the
yeah, the
future
advertising
dates,
and stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
and the thing with, I know you guys have done a good job trying to get it all done, by May, But it's always, we get it done, and then we'll wait for the county or the state or whatnot, so, Yeah, and then we have what, September 1st, whenever it's due, then you have that first, tax bill, August.
August, yeah, it's always late.
Always late,
Yeah.
so. But, Yeah.
Solicitor's permit, oh, I'm sorry. Solicitor permit for Comcast. Rich, everything good with that? We just looking to approve it? Didn't we
Yeah.
approve that?
I thought we did approve it.
I thought we approved that last month.
No, we didn't. I don't think we approved it last month, but
No.
with that being said, though, Bill, as I'm looking here. It's funny, you had mentioned that you were talking to a young man from Comcast from Bud Lake.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing Bud Lake on any
No.
Instagram.
Well, wait a minute, he had a nice name tag with his thing, Comcast. Do we issue like a name tag and stuff like,
No, we issue a permit and they're supposed to have it on their person, so.
is there a way that they can attach it, like, you know, like a swipe card? Do we have that capability?
MJ Hoffman, who always came to us, she would reduce it to a small size and put it in the badge and she wore it.
That's not in our, yeah, that's something we'd have to.
We don't require it, but they're supposed to have it on them. So that if you say, where's your permit, they can produce it.
No, yeah.
So Bob, this,
card, we need
I thought-
call them.
No, yeah.
you know what, I do have his card
So we
at
need to
home.
call him.
Yeah, I'll give it to Lisa. Is this-
I just found that kind of amusing.
We did that.
Is this eight H we did, I thought, which was what was highlighted here.
Oh, no, that was to adopt these changes in
change.
yellow. This is to authorize Comcast to solicit.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking for a motion to approve the solicitor's permit for Comcast. Anybody want to make the?
I'll make that motion, but can we make the caveat though that Sundays or, cause I know they've been doing it Sunday afternoons and Sunday evenings. I think
Their permit will, it actually, I write out like the dates and times that they're allowed, dates and times.
and what was it? Did we limit Sundays?
No Sundays.
I don't think Sundays are allowed. out.
Okay, there you go. That's it. Okay, that's all.
I will
Because I
remind
know
them when
they-
they come to get their permit.
No, because I know that they've been knocking at the door 6 o'clock in the evening on Sundays in pay centers.
Okay.
Please call us.
Huh?
Please call us.
No, I don't wanna add to your,
Anybody want to
it
second?
was daylight when.
Anybody second?
I'll second.
No, you made.
Oh,
I'll second.
Okay, anybody comments? Roll
No.
call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Dermott?
Yeah.
The on-call administrative assistant, you have anything on that or?
Oh, I don't have that. I don't think that's mine. Is that mine?
I left it on because when I listened to the tape, I think you and Lily were gonna schedule an
an
interview
interview.
with her, so I just left it on.
Okay, no, we never interviewed her,
Okay.
so,
Municipal housing liaison.
okay. I'll defer this to Lisa to begin with. She can explain this new position, again, unfunded by DCA in the state. But I guess it's replacing the COA position.
It's not really, they're kind of depends on how the town is handling it. Obviously, it's not funded, but they are allowing you to pay for it out of COA funds.
Right.
That's how they got around that. But little is known, sounds like the first year it's gonna be a heavy lift, or it could be a heavy lift, because you don't know what was done previously. It all has to be entered into a new system. I had given you, Bill, I don't know if I
Right.
actually brought a
I
copy,
have it here.
the list of the old ones.
Yeah. I brought it for the
I might.
committee to look at, but we only have,
Yeah, so I think I had sent to you, it looks like,
we have like
we have 70 complete units,
70, right, and another 66 coming.
66 coming and then
Right.
64 coming. I cannot tell you what the annual reporting on that is gonna be.
Well, I signed up for that class next Tuesday.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because we have to appoint somebody to this position. And then there were numbers being thrown around that, that some towns are offering $5,000, $10,000 on another one. I think Jen mentioned 5,000 to 2 ours, and I'm like, but we only have like 100 units to input. And it's to give somebody $5,000 to input. You know, this,
82,
yeah. The-
When it,
the
whenever
seven-
it gets input, I don't even know, what's.
It's a new system.
I don't know, I didn't take the class,
Yeah.
Jen had
Jen
taken
took the
it.
class.
I know Bill asked her more about what she
Yeah,
learned,
But
but
I just can't see, you know, we can assign it to somebody, you know, and you can sign it to me and I'm not gonna take any money and it'll probably go down to DCA again, but I believe it has to be an employee of the township. So,
Yeah, a lot
It
of
can't be a
towns have
third
just
party.
changed a lot of towns have just changed the name of the COA administrator and, because you gotta change the title so you can pay them, and then whatever we were paying, I don't know what we were paying the COA.
Why can't we
Like
use the
1,200.
CCPG for that or whatever?
So that for whatever reason now, with this new system, they're not letting you use a third party.
Right.
And nobody can really understand that.
Yeah.
CGP&H is still gonna have to do their annual
Yeah, they're gonna do
reporting
it,
that
and
they
then we-
do.
like redundancy.
But it's not the same, and they want this entered by like
15th
an
of
appointed
February,
person in the
yeah.
town to this new
And it gets
system.
paid for out of COA
Out of
funds?
COA,
COA,
yeah,
and then
no one understands it.
the thing is, to relieve the burden of the clerk. This person, whoever gets assigned, will be getting all the information out of DCA to send in
Right.
recent reports or something, but I'm like, okay, what can it be? Address, the unit type, maybe the name and address, maybe some tax information, so.
Yeah.
I signed up for the hour-and-a-half course just to see what, you know.
They also
Yeah.
have, I
Without
guess,
that
doesn't
information.
affordable housing have like expiration dates and stuff, and then you have to renew, so it's probably, you might have to put the original date. in
Exactly,
and
yeah.
stuff.
And I
Well-
think some of that too, when those units start to come off, because we're nearing that point here, I don't know what you do then, how involved you have to be with, again, I would think
When they say
CGP,
come off, are they no longer affordable housing?
but they can renew.
It
Right.
depends on what the deed restriction says. Some of them, it's just like 30 years, then it's done. And then other ones
That's what they
say,
I think.
yeah,
It's more like
and
that,
then other ones say 30 years, but they don't get released unless I had one in the town where it said it was like infinite, which I think legally.
Not that
you
I
could do,
think
but-
I'll have to
Yeah.
worry about it, but
Yeah.
in 10 years,
Yeah.
are they gonna say, well, you just wrote off 82, so now you're gonna add these 82 back onto whatever your number
Right,
is?
Yeah, I
exactly.
don't wanna answer that in the public session.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
So Mike, we have to find out on those deeds, do we have when we go to the county to look at, pull an address and look at those deeds, or?
yeah, I would say normally we would probably have a list around here, but I'm gonna guess that we don't.
If she didn't
So-
find it by now, or found deeds,
So
I'm sure it's.
if we had the units, the lot and block or we'd be able to pull the deeds.
I'll ask CGP&H if they have one.
Okay,
And really, you probably just need one, because they're all.
Right.
Right,
I
anymore.
think they all
Yeah.
are the same, yeah.
right,
That they'll just have different dates of whenever they were sold, that they,
but if they come off, you got a good question, I mean,
He said wait, split second.
oh, okay. All right, so but what are we gonna do about this position, because we have to have a position.
Yeah, I can't pay, that's my paying for it until I know.
So. They have
Can't come up with a number.
Yeah.
Is there a penalty if we don't have it completed by February?
He said we can change it, right, but when they sell it, then they could go for market. after they're-
Okay,
Is there a penalty, do we know, if we don't have somebody appointed and the information is not in by the end of February?
My opinion, they just sent an email that they're basically like still establishing the rules and the requirements. And I'm like, how can you be establishing the rules and requirements in the middle of January with a February 15th deadline? Jen had told me that they were gonna be a little lenient this first year with compliance with that deadline, but they don't even know.
Everything's so fast. I mean, even like a month ago, they gave us the numbers and gave you like a month to respond.
Yeah.
and you gotta file the order to show close 48 hours after
Yeah,
you file
yeah,
the
but-
resolution.
yeah, oh, yeah, make sure that gets the
Yeah.
job first.
Yeah. They need a certified copy of the resolution with.
In 48 hours, which they know any municipality has their meetings on Thursday night, it's virtually impossible to meet.
Yeah.
Like and they're in government, why aren't they thinking this way?
Right, and do I think Toll Brothers is just waiting for you to like do it in 36 hours instead of 48, so they're gonna
Right.
file their building,
And most of the time when they do that, they say, they exempt the weekends as non-business days, and this one is, I don't know.
I don't know about my soapbox, but the stupidity of this is if they just appointed people to COA, you had an administrative agency, everybody, like, a lot of people don't like affordable housing, but it's the
Right.
law of the land, right?
Yeah.
So it was a lot cheaper. Now, every town is going through the same dance we went through the last round for what? To get a number. And COA used to say, hey, here's your number, you negotiate with the planner,
Yeah,
right?
right,
And John
right,
wrote it. And it was a heck of a lot cheaper. This is,
Yeah.
and usually you could see behind government and see who's making money, like, why is it going this way?
Yeah.
This one I can't figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back to what do we do?
So I would suggest that we probably should at least amend the title so that we have the title, so that we could pay whoever you,
Somebody can access it.
right. So maybe for the next meeting, we have an ordinance on the changes, the COA liaison or whatever that title is to the new title, and then you've got it ready, and then,
what's it called, municipal housing liaison.
right, to municipal housing liaison. Because then you got the position and then whatever, then you guys can decide what you're gonna do as far as.
Right, and we'll have more. I'm just gonna
So
sit
you
in
can
on this
send it.
virtual class to say, hey, what's,
Oh,
So-
sorry about it.
Okay,
We'll take that one.
we're moving on.
we're moving.
Paperless payroll, anybody?
So-
for that for?
I'm trying to eliminate some of the work that's being done inside the office here, and Shannon tells me we got 2 employees that have paper check. There's no need to be printing check stubs, because everything's online. So I would like to just put everything online and be done with it.
I thought we had. a
I thought we
vote for
did
that,
mandate.
or we did an ordinance that everyone
we
had
did
to
that.
be paper.
Everyone is required to be, direct deposit,
Right.
Yeah.
but we get a stub.
So we can eliminate stuff.
So
I
we
haven't
have
had stuff.
everybody direct deposit, Shannon?
Well, Bob, I don't know if I'm allowed to
Probably
use names,
2
so.
employees.
We have
no.
2 employees
Right.
that are older employees, so one was on direct deposit, then he went back to paper check, so
Shannon,
Um,
quick question, can they even do that? Like
what?
I thought it's our ordinance.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought they,
Technically, no, she just told me that the other day. I was like,
Yeah,
technically they can.
yeah,
so I can send them forms, they'll give me, if they have checking accounts, I don't know, if they don't have checking accounts, I don't know what you want me to do.
They
They
can
have-
put it in
we-
the savings.
You can do it to a debit card or some type of a savings.
They're
Yeah.
older, so I don't know what, you know what I mean, if they come back to me and say they don't have these, what do I have to
And they
do?
pay
I
the
think I
bills.
can explain it, like, but we should probably.
Yeah,
okay.
they have to, I mean, we have an ordinance that says they have to, so they're gonna have to figure it out.
Paperless,
Yeah.
everything, and we are.
You use the same payroll system and?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they use the same payroll as we do. Just say, starting February 1st, all
Yeah,
pay
no
stubs.
problem, I'm just,
Yeah.
they were.
What's the cost savings though? For going
Well, we're
without
not being
stubs?
charged for those 2.
Right.
Right.
We are being, it's gonna cost us for them to go back on direct deposit an extra $23.40.
So it's cheaper to cut the check?
Wait, a year, wait, a year?
Well, they weren't charging us.
Right,
Oh.
And I don't know if way those.
Okay.
that's $23 a
It
year,
would be less
I'm,
work,
I'm thinking,
but it's not less work than.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
and to not print the W-2s, you're gonna save $197.50, and that's it.
Well, how about the, not printing the weekly or bi-weekly paychecks? That much savings,
$10.70 a pay.
Okay.
1070 a
Oh,
pay.
so that's,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, 260, but that,
$10 a pay?
Yeah, 1070.
to generate the 30 or 40.
2140.
If you do it,
Pay stubs.
if you do it electronically, like I was paid that way, he was paid that way.
So,
All the employees are gonna hit print on our computer anyway and print their things, so how much does it cost to? Will it cost us more than
Or ask
$10 to
the
print?
payroll person.
The
to
problem is
print
they're
it.
gonna show up and be like, Shannon, can you print my stuff?
Well, the bottom line is it's gonna be our pay, like, we're gonna be printing it. So is
We
it
won't.
cheaper just to pay the $10 for them to print it? I mean, I don't know how much it costs to print one
It's,
page.
it's one sheet of paper, but, you pretty much know on with your first January paycheck. Although the difference with people working overtime
Yeah,
and things like that, but nothing really changes, at least in the private sector, So I'm gonna make a motion to go completely paperless with payroll. Have Shannon send out the link that they can go find their.
Do you wanna make that before we go to executive and continue this talk? Cause they talk about going like that. I mean, I.
I don't care,
You said you wanna
I'll
talk
take that
about
back.
I could just explain why the one is a paper check,
Okay, absolutely.
Okay,
I think.
okay. Time clock procedure.
That was for Rich. Rich was gonna work on that. Did he?
Yeah, he is, and I talked to him, he said, when he had talked to you, he said he'd have it for, before the February meeting,
Okay.
like a draft for everybody to look
Okay.
at.
Okay. Reinhardt Park Playground Equipment.
Playground equipment. You got pictures that Joe provided. This is what he came up with. This is gonna be sent to the Open Space Committee, but I just wanted to get a little input from the Township Committee. It is $138,000 bill. We have the money definitely in open space,
I like it.
and Joe's working on a grant. So, a good portion of that will be paid by the grant, and I think we got our money's worth out of the equipment. That's over there now. And I just think the people downtown deserve, an upgrade.
Question on that, though, not about this equipment, but. Did we ever look into for prices for coverings for some of the equipment? Have we talked about?
We haven't yet. We've talked about it, but we haven't looked into
Yeah,
it.
that's what I said. a little
Is there
closer.
one? Yeah, no, well, that,
Covering.
It's
I
not
know
covering
Joe
the
and I
slide
did a
vac.
few years ago,
Not covering. the
and
slide
it
vac.
was,
Oh, it's expensive. I remember.
it was like $35,000
Yeah.
to, like
'Cause
they
you
do
can't
in
use that part
Arizona.
in the dead of summer.
No,
I
in the
mean,
summer,
Oh,
might as well be February.
It's bad.
You're
Down
right.
here you can use it.
Yeah.
The shade over
The
here. They'll have to
right,
shift to
but
come down
the
there.
big Thomas Stewart Park is
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's less wind.
Nice.
June, July, August, it's.
I think it looks
it's-
Oh, yeah, it looks
doesn't
nice, yeah.
use-
So I don't think we need a motion, do we?
No, well, Joe's got it, we won't need to discuss it until the grant money gets
Okay, So,
found or
Lisa,
whatever.
can we put this under old business, for February, so we don't forget? Yeah.
Yeah, could discuss basketball lights, so.
Oh, okay.
Um. Credit card machine for recreation. We have anything we need to discuss on any further?
Any update on that, Shannon? Credit
No,
card?
I don't think anyone from Recreation ever answered Lisa's emails.
No. Brian, you,
I
you talk-
heard about it, but I haven't heard from Rich about it. Who contacted you about that? Was it? one
They
of
were
the
going through
ladies?
Shannon, initially, but then they had sent an email back with answering some of our questions after we spoke to the auditor, and, I think my response back was just about the fees, right? And which
Yeah.
company they were gonna go with,
Okay.
but I don't think maybe they weren't sure which company, or
I'll ask.
I just figured we needed to know the charges and stuff, so you guys could approve it.
Right.
I think it was
Oh,
Melissa.
The
Yeah,
only
it
other
had to be
thing,
Melissa,
Yeah, I
right?
think so.
we had some back and forth with them too, to just make sure that there was an easy way for them to print off like a daily report or whatever that could then get to Shannon. And I think they felt that they could do that with one of the companies, but we just need the cost.
All right. See if I get it before. Meeting's over.
Okay, Decker Park, the land purchase up there. We have any updates on that or we?
Just, I know Bryce asked me for the survey, so I sent the surveys over that I had. So he must be working on the description of the property, I would assume.
Cash was 2025.
well, I would have liked this, like to move everything to cashless, but I walked in, I said, Eloise, can we go? No, you can, you gotta take cash for tax liens, you take cash. It's a statute, you gotta take cash for paying your property taxes, so
Cash is king.
it is, so. It's just a pain in the neck in today's day and age to handle it,
Capital interest rate.
Okay, so I asked Shannon, because we did go up a few basis points last week. But Shannon, I think that chart that you gave me, I think we're pretty much at the top of the thing.
We are, the longer you go out, the.
Yeah, it's going down,
We've been rolling it over again because that was the
so-
best rate.
Right,
So for the
Yeah.
next meeting, can you give us total interest that we earned for 2024?
yes.
And the question is, can we use that since it's bond money interest? Does it have to stay within the bond money? Has to stay.
I believe that's. what
In that
Andrew
I think
said.
so, until you cancel it, like until you've used
Right.
for whatever the project is, you
Right.
have the extra, then at the end of the year, you
can-
cancel it, and then you can
okay.
roll it into surplus or general.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think that's all it was.
That's my understanding.
Okay. And then, anybody have anything on any letters that we need to discuss? I'll make a motion that we, open public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to get up and make a comment? Seeing none, I make a motion to close. public
Second.
comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Look for a motion to go into executive session to discuss the shared service agreement with Bloomsbury and legal issues regarding the municipal building. I made the motion. Anybody want a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We come back in public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mike?
All right, we emerged from executive session at 8:29 PM where we discussed shared service agreement with Bloomsbury, Grid walls we did not discuss. And an update on the new municipal complex. No official action was taken. Copies of these minutes will be available at such time as the committee determines there is no harm to the public interest.
Okay. We have no action to take out
Gotta
of it.
make the call to, space.
Don? I'll call John.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, anybody have anything else?
No.
Then I guess I'm looking for a
I'll make that
motion.
motion to.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, long.
Well, we had February, I don't